Okay, I think I got it figured out. I'm gonna have to use these after all because I kind of put it together, and this is supposed to raise it, lower this down below the ceiling just a hair because the other trim goes up just a bit. And what was happening is, see how thin these slots are? Well, when I put the screw in there, I had to make it a little bit bigger, and then it started twisting, and then part of this slid in this way, and then it allowed that to flop around. So these are the two slots, and I just cut that out, and I'm going to have to push it up so that those stay on there sticky like that. Do you see what I mean? And I've got that one too, so I'll have to be careful for those not to slide. Then I can push that straight up. I've cleaned off the sheetrock on the outside, and this edge fits on the sheetrock just a little bit. And that's going to allow my slight little gap all the way around there. Plus I cleaned off a little bit of the sheetrock around there, was bulging and making it kind of stick up. Okay, so now I can put it up there nice and tight with that little bit of a gap all the way around the ceiling. Okay. Unbelievable. Okay, I got it. I had to do some finagling around. Remember, there was those 4 rubber bushings on the back side. I had one on both areas, one here, one here, one here, one across here. I had it out to make sure that it would hit the sheetrock. Even after tightening everything up, I had it tight. This was tight to the ceiling, and there was a big old huge whopping gap over there. And I think the ceiling or the box is slightly cattywampus to the ceiling, and so I took it back down. I took the rubber little trim piece off over here, put it over here. So I have 2 on that, nothing over here, and I thought, okay, maybe I can kind of tilt that a little bit. Got that sucker tight up there, and now I've got a 16th gap here, here, there, over here. Everything is fine. That thing is going to fit right up tight to there. It should be fine. I'm glad I spent a little bit of time on that because, like I say, I don't normally do these ceiling fan huggers, and that's what this one's called. It's called a hugger fan because this whole trim assembly, when it goes up there, fits tight to the ceiling. Usually you've got a smaller piece of trim that fits up in there, and then you've got an extension rod that goes down to your fan and all that. Well, this one is slightly different. See, there's no extension rod here. This is just completely tall, and so it fits up there on a bigger piece of trim. See how wide that is? Lots of them aren't as wide as that. That your top trim usually is not like this. It's usually installed a little bit differently. So that's why I wanted to make sure I spent a little bit of time to get that, because you've got to have that little bit of a gap all the way around there. So when you slide that up there, it's figured so that, see, there's 4 mounting screws up there. I'll talk to you about that next, I guess. Okay, so up on the side here, there's those screws, see? There's one there, one over there, and one on that side. Okay, and that's what's going to hold that up there. But you've got that hook. See, there's a hook up there, right there. It's kind of hard to see it. It is coming down. And I'm going to hook this whole thing up here before I wire it. See? Now, on this, you see this one's got a slot in it, and the one straight across from there, it's got a hole and a slot, see? And then these two on this side don't have a slot. That one and this one. See, no slots at all. So those 2 screws across from each other, I'm going to loosen up and take those screws out from up there. Then I'm going to leave the other 2 screws. And see, I've got to hook this. I hook that hook thing on this and just let it dangle up there. Do you see what I mean? and then I can wire it. After everything's wired, then I take it off that hook, slip it over on the 2 screws that are sticking out. I've got 2 screws up there that will stick out further. And let's see if you can see them. See that one there? And on this on the other side. I'll loosen those up a little bit even further than that. Take the other 2 screws out. Okay? Then this whole thing will hang up there. In fact, I can just hang it up there right now, just so you kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about, okay? I'm gonna hang that up there. I'm not ready for this next step, but this is the main guts of the ceiling fan. And, you know, if I didn't have that hook up there, it'd be like, how am I gonna hold that up there and wire it and hook it at the same time? So see, I'm just gonna take it like that, and then you're supposed to be able to let go of it, see? See there? Then I can reach in there, take the wires, hook up the wires, and all that kind of stuff. Okay? Yeah, like that. Okay? So now we've got to talk about the wires. And like I say, that red wire up there I'm never going to use, because on the back side of this is the little wire harness. See, there's only a white wire and a black wire. That's it coming from the fan. Look at that. Okay? I don't even have a ground wire there. See the ground wire that's up there, that's coming out of the ceiling, I'm just gonna hook to that ground wire up there. And I'm gonna take a wire nut from that green wire and the bare wire and hook those 2 up and just kind of push them up in there, see? And then the red wire, I'm gonna take a wire nut and put it on there. And then the black and the white, I'm going to connect to the black and white on the fan. Okay? So let's just work on this, let's just get this red wire out of the way. Okay? I'm not even going to shut the camera off. I'm going to take one of those old wire nuts, and believe it or not, it's going to fit on here because there's a curlicue on the end of this red wire, and I did that to mimic the idea that there's 2 wires right there. If I would try to put this wire nut on this wire without that little curlicue on there, this wire nut would never fit. I'd have to put a smaller wire nut on there, probably one of the orange ones. And I got that thing on there so tight, I don't think that's ever gonna fall off. But if you want to be real safe, I've got, let's see here, I've got some electrical tape here. I'm trying to, good grief. I thought I found the end of it right here, but I don't think oh yeah, I am at the end of it. Okay, I can just take this, up here, and I can put it on there. And when you put tape on, you stretch it and put it on. Stretch and put it on. Don't just try to wrap it on there. Stretch and put it on. Stretch and put it on. Okay? Then it will fit on there nice. Okay? Alright? So there you go. You think that wire nut's ever going to fall off? I don't. I doubt it very seriously that it's ever going to fall off. Okay, now I can push that in there like that. I'm done with that. Now I can work with my ground wire and this wire here. So I only have a little bit on there, and I've got 4 wire nuts that came with the See these little ones? These orange ones. That came with the ceiling fan. And I'm just going to take the orange one. And man, these orange wire nuts look really small too. And I'm just going to hold that up there like that. These orange wire nuts almost seem like they're smaller than the standard orange wire nuts that you get like in a little pack with the orange and the red and the yellow and all that. Okay, I pull on that, it seems fine. Okay, well now I can just kind of bend that up in there like that. And now I got the ground wire connected. And see, all I got is the 2 wires left. And you remember I flattened those out with the pliers. And this one still has a little hiccup in it. And I'm actually thinking my yellow wire nuts will fit on these maybe nicer than their little orange ones, because I don't want to cut these off and make these wires that much smaller. I'm going to leave those little in there, and I'm going to use my old wire nuts. And lots of times people frown on saying, oh, you can't use old wire nuts. Well, yeah, you can. They have 2 different kinds of yellow wire nuts. These are with the hard plastic outside edge. And then they have some that are kind of rubbery on the outside. And the hard plastic ones seem to hold better than the rubbery type. But, and these look fine. I'm not really going to worry about it. I have some other orange wire nuts, but I'm not going to use them. And I'm going to save those other orange wire nuts for something else later on. Okay, so when I get ready to do this here, I'm gonna look at this. I'm gonna take a quick look at these wires, and see, they just have it kind of looped with that, just with one of these. And I'm gonna save that. You never know when you can need that for a little extension wire. An extension cord, and you want it wrapped up next to the wall or something, and then just tie it with that. If you don't have one of those, okay, you got to leave a loose extension cord sitting there. Okay, so I'm just gonna look at this and see. This is stranded wire. Well, there's not a whole lot on there, and for the orange, those little orange wire nuts, that would be fine. But I'm not going to use those little orange wire nuts. I'm gonna use my yellows. So I need this just a hair longer. Okay. So I'm gonna squeeze that and get this off of there. I'm gonna just make these a hair longer. I like to cut them on a short, you know, just a couple spots, and then I move it into a bigger hole and pull it off, and make sure I don't get too many of my strands pulled off. See, I didn't get any strands pulled off on that. If you use too small of a hole, you think, oh yeah, there it is, and then you pull it, you take half the strands off. Yeah, you just use the size too small, and then you should cut it off and redo it. Because you want all those strands on there, okay? Okay, so now that's simple. White to white, black to black. So we're gonna get up there and do that. And that's gonna be my next step. And I made this just a hair longer, and then I can kind of wrap the end around the other wire before I put the wire nut up on there. And that'll make it fatter too, and those wires should be fine using those yellow wire nuts. There you go.